Welcome to the Village of Wappingers Falls monthly regular meeting of the Mayor and Board of Trustees. Today, Wednesday, January 13th, 2021. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands,
one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this point, does anyone have any points of recognition or announcements or special events they would like to talk about? Okay, roll call. Trustee Markajon.
Here.
Trustee Catalano.
Here.
Trustee Nesnick.
Here.
Trustee Huber.
Here.
Trustee Panessa.
Here.
Trustee Lammers.
Here.
Village Attorney Wallace.
Here.
Tonight's meeting has been convened in accordance with the Governor's March 13, 2020 Executive Order 202.1 as extended, which suspends certain provisions of the open meeting law to allow a municipal board to convene a meeting via video conferencing. In accordance with the executive order, the public has been provided with the ability to view and participate in tonight's meeting by computer, smartphone, or telephone, and to view the meeting on the usual cable television channels. The recording of the meeting will be posted to the village website, and a written transcript of the meeting will be prepared and provided at a later date. There has been a roll call of the board members, and there is a quorum present for this meeting. I have also confirmed with the secretary that this meeting has been duly noticed. We have fulfilled our legal notice requirements by posting a copy of the notice of the meeting on the village webpage and on the village's bulletin board. We have emailed a copy of the notice to the media, and we have confirmation that the legal notices for public hearings have been properly published. First on the agenda tonight is a public hearing. We have a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None. Notice has hereby given that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Wappingers Falls will conduct a public hearing on the 13th day of January 2021 at 7 p.m. via Zoom regarding adoption of the implementation plan per Executive Order number 203 of Governor Andrew M. Cuomo, New York State Police Reform and Prevention Collaborative, sorry. Zoom information will be posted on the village board meeting page of the village website 3 days before the hearing, and it was. Please take further notice that the purpose and intent of the proposed implementation plan is to ensure that all citizens are treated equally, fairly, and justly before the law, and with greater transparency. By order of the village board, Village of Wappingers Falls. At this point, I would like to have the village attorney expand on this issue.
Okay, thank you, Village Clerk Karj. Can you please put the materials in support of the resolution and the public hearing materials up for the meeting for the public to see? This is a public hearing of the governor's executive order regarding the New York State Police Reform and Reinvention Collaborative, which was signed in July of 2020. And basically, it was signed into law by the governor by executive order to seek a public discussion about policing strategies, including but not limited to use of force policies, procedural justice, studies addressing the systemic racial bias and racial injustice in policing, or implicit bias awareness program training, de-escalation training and practices, law enforcement assisted diversion programs and restorative justice practices, community-based outreach and conflict resolution, problem-oriented policing, hotspots policing, focused deterrence, crime prevention through environmental design, violence prevention and reduction interventions, and model policies and guidelines, which were promulgated by the New York State Municipal Police Training Council. And towards that end, a collaborative effort that was led by Commissioner Walter Burke, which I will be asking him to explain his involvement. A stakeholder group was actually assembled to look at these studies and to come up with a collaborative plan that we could forward to the governor to make sure that we are in compliance with the executive order. And before we can forward that collaborative plan, this particular public hearing and the public is being asked to make comment here where your comments would be incorporated into the final work product that we are going to be sending up to Albany to certify our compliance. So at this point in time, before I go any further, I'm going to just hand off to Commissioner Burke so he can explain the steps that were taken to lead us to this point, and then I'll take over to explain where we're going from here.
Thanks, Craig. Okay, in August, Dutchess County formed a collaborative of police chiefs and public officials to work on the governor's executive order on police reform. Below is what they did. They asked us to submit our policy to the sheriff's office for review. While they were working on that, we continued to meet every 2 weeks on a Zoom meeting where they would discuss ways that we could work with our local committee on how we can reform our police department. Shortly before our first meeting, we've got our use of force policy back, and we had 6 areas that did not meet standard. Those are those listed areas there. We added those to our policy. We also were recommended to combine our policy from a use of force and deadly use of force to a policy of use of force. After that was done, we posted it on our website. All these 6 standards here are recommended by the New York State Department of Criminal Justice. These are accredited standards that they want in a use of force policy. In October, the village, we formed our own committee to discuss the governor's executive order. At our first meeting, we had 4 stakeholders from the community. We had Reverend Hunt, Shelley Wallace, Brian Lammers, John Riley, and Principal Thompson. From the police department, I had myself, Lieutenant Paolo Caparelli, Police Officer Jen Farrell, and Police Assistant Jeanette Williams. We talked to the stakeholders about our personnel, our training, our recruitment, our equipment in the police department. I also provided all the stakeholders with a copy of the New York State Reform and Reinvention Guide. This is the book the state gave us as a guide on how we proceed through this process to come up with some type of reform in our police department. I also gave to the members that were there, stakeholders, 8 areas that I felt that we should address. And that is procedural justice and community policing, community engagement, use of force, misconduct, police policies and procedures, our recruitment and retention, training, and a community survey. At our second meeting, I presented to stakeholders a copy of the use of force policy, which we reviewed it. And after they reviewed by the people in our committee there, they felt we had a very strong use of force where there was a lot of restraint that a lot of measures officers have to take before they use force, whether it's use of force or deadly force. And with those extra things that were added on from the sheriff's office, our policy was real strict in what we had to do and what we had to report. We also decided that we would increase our training. In July, we started de-escalation training for our officers. All officers went through that training, and that training will be done on a yearly basis. Probably sometime when we're doing our firearms training, we'll be including our de-escalation training in that time. We also gave our stakeholders a copy of our general orders, which is over 400 pages. They asked for different sections from our general orders, and we would discuss with them different questions they had about the areas in the general orders. That's our policies and procedures. At our third meeting, we started having people come in from the public. We had Dr. St. Germain from the mental health, from the county mental health, come in and talk about programs that are available for people in crisis. He told many different things that we didn't know, and we have a lot of information now that he provided and numbers that we can call of people who might need to have some type of assistance. Our fourth meeting, we had 2 more people. One was from the homeless programs. She came in and discussed homelessness. If we come across anyone who's homeless, all the different places that they can seek housing on a short and sometimes a long-term time. The last speaker was a person from Mobile Crisis. What they're trying to do is respond with police officers on a 24-hour basis. So if we have a person that we're dealing with and we felt that we're not be able to communicate with the person well, we can reach out to them, and hopefully within a half hour, they'll be able to respond to the scene. When we discussed with our committee there, we tried to strive with them that we were looking for ways to improve our community, our police department. We were open to any suggestions from them or anyone else in the public. We put out to the public several times through the village website and our police department website, looking for public comments. At one time, we actually posted part of our community survey that we plan on mailing out to the community in June. And we got a fairly large response from that. Most of it was positive. There was a couple of negative responses to some of the questions, but most of it was very positive for the partial survey that we did. At our fifth meeting, we drew up some things that we think that we really need to address. One of our things is our general orders, or our policy and procedures. We've had that in place since 2008. There hasn't been any real change to it other than minor revisions. So I felt that it's time that we look to completely do over our policies and procedures. And I looked into a company called Lexiplo, and they do departments across the country. They have quite a few in New York State. The city of Poughkeepsie is with them right now, town of Fishkill, town of Poughkeepsie, and the sheriff's office is considering them to do their policies too. Basically, what they do is they keep a policy up to date. I mean, we just don't know all the changes that happen that could affect our policies that we have in place. So by joining this company to have them do our policies, They constantly will send us updates and reviews. They also make it more transparent where all of our policies will be on our website. So no matter what we're dealing with, how we deal with it, a person can easily go on our website and look up how the police officer, conducts himself out there as far as our policies. It also offers a training option, which right now we don't have. If officers are required to read updates that we put in, revisions that we put into policy, but there's no follow-up as far as like a training thing. So what they do is every month they send out a section of the policies where they give a scenario or questions, and the officer has to answer these questions. And based on his responses, we'll know if he understands the policy that he's been quizzed on. They also have a policy review and management. There are third-party reviews. So like I said, it's someone else besides ourselves looking over our policy. And they have understanding of best practice across the country of all policies from all police departments. So we'll have a policy that is more substance from other departments and not just what we think sounds good. Some of the other things that it would provide is providing a solid policy foundation, a head start with over 160 policies based on federal, state law, as well as best practices. Allowing us for sharing the key policies with our community, like I said, posted it on our website. Short-term goal would be to completely update our policy and procedures, like I said, that haven't been done since 2008. Long-term goal will have a policy and procedures that meet New York State accreditation standards. This will assist Wappingers Falls to become an accredited police department. The next item that I talked about before is a community survey. The guide of the reinvention stated that is one of the things you should have is a survey of your community on an annual basis to find out what your community is thinking about their police department. Hoping that with this survey, we'll be able to improve on our programs and our training of our officers. The final thing is our officers usually only receive maybe 4 8 hours of training a year. That basically is firearms or CPR recertification. What we're going to be doing starting this year is we're going to have 20 hours of in-service training, not counting hours of training where an officer might go outside the department for training, but this is in-service training. A lot of these lists on the list here have never been used in our department. Like I told you before, de-escalation training is new. Implicit bias training is new. We're sending an officer next month to be trained on that. Procedural justice, Officer Farrell and Lieutenant Caparelli just went through that training, and now they're certified to come back and do that in our department. In a few minutes, I'm going to have Officer Farrell tell us about that training, the procedural justice, how important it is. And that's something that all police departments in the state are getting. From that list, ethics training, we're going to be doing that every year. And then many of these other trainings too, we'll be doing on a yearly basis, but those ones I just named are the most important ones that we'll be doing every year. New York State accreditation requires you to have at least 21 hours of in-service to be an accredited department. And like I said, we're striving to have at least 20 hours a year of training. I don't know if Officer Farrell can hear me, if she can talk about procedural justice now.
Commissioner Burke, before Officer Farrell chimes in, can I just ask, were any of those public comments that you just discussed, were they incorporated into the draft reform and reinvention plan?
From that survey comments that we got?
Yes.
Some of the 1 or 2 of them, maybe. I'd have to recheck it. Most of the, if you look at the list I gave of the 8 original ideas that I gave out to the committee, 3 of them are off that list now. That would be the policy and procedures, the community survey, and the training, increase in training.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, Officer Farrell.
Sorry, that's okay. Hi, I'm Officer Farrow with the Village of Wappingers Falls Police Department. So Commissioner Burke asked me just to speak briefly on procedural justice and what the course is and how important it is to our officers to receive the training. Members of the police department agencies across the country are going to be receiving this training, as well as all of New York State. Most of Dutchess County is going to receive the training, and almost every officer in the county will be certified by the end of 2021. So the importance of procedural justice really has to do with teaching our officers how to interact with the public, and some of the objectives that we will teach within that course, because it's a 3-series course. So officers will go through procedural justice 1 and procedural justice 2 about six to 8 months later, as well as implicit bias training. Hopefully we'll be able to incorporate the procedural justice 2 and implicit bias together. But procedural justice 1, some of the objectives that we want to make sure that our officers get while they're in that training is defining some of the things such as like legitimacy and what procedural justice is, defining and reviewing the relationship between the police and the community and how important it is and how you interact with that. We're going to talk to the officers and try to teach them about self-wellness and how important the mental health is amongst not only the community, but amongst ourselves, and keeping ourselves well so that we can be out on the street to interact appropriately and professionally with the public, and understand the role that history has played in hindering some of the legitimacy issues that we have had culturally across the country in some of the different communities. Some of the different things that we're really going to emphasize and talk on are the 4 pillars of procedural justice, which have to do with using your voice and remaining neutral, being respectful, and giving the fair treatment process, as well as gaining the trust of both ourselves and the community. So hopefully all of our officers, should be trained within the next month or so. We're hoping to put everybody through the procedural justice 1 training, if not within the next couple of months, and then move forward with that. So New York State has implemented that most all of our officers go through the procedural justice training, and we have 2 instructors now within our agency, as well as the assistance of the City of Poughkeepsie Police Department master instructors, who are also willing to assist us if we need the help. Commissioner, did you want me to speak about anything else?
Unless you have something else on training, that'd be great.
Not at the moment. I think you touched mostly on everything that we've done. I can't see the training slide that was up before, but I do remember looking at it and seeing that a majority of our officers are already, I would say, statistically, number wise, 90% trained in almost everything that's on that slide. If not, some of the things some of our officers have put in for the training request for the upcoming year to go to some of those trainings. So I think by the, in the next year, most of our officers will have everything that's on that list that you had posted before, because I was reading through it when it was posted.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
So like I said, we're still waiting for comments from the public to come in. Hopefully after this meeting, we get some more ideas to come in. We can work on those and hopefully by the middle of February, be able to put our final draft of this plan together, so we can meet the April 1st required time of completing this.
So what I was going to recommend to the Board of Trustees at this particular point in time is to get a draft of that implementation plan up on the village website for the public to see and for the public to weigh in and comment on, and to keep the public engaged, so that we could get more input that may or may not be incorporated into the final product. Once the proposals have been and ideas have been shared, hopefully we can continue this public meeting to the next meeting date, which is February 10th is our next meeting date. I think that a final plan can be drafted and ready for the board to take action at the February workshop, which would be February 24, unless anybody else has any objection or ideas about how to and when to vote on that particular plan. So this draft plan is in its release stages right now for public comment. We're here to educate the public, which Commissioner Burke, you're doing at this particular point in time. Next steps would be to revise the plan to incorporate public comment, and then finally ratifying the plan. Once it's ratified, it goes up to Albany to be certified, and we will be in compliance with the governor's executive order at that moment in time. So that's the overview of action going forward, and this all has to be done by April 1st, 2021, and we have to keep moving on this, and I commend everyone involved to this point for
I'd also like to make mention of how instrumental Todd Bowen was in keeping me personally addressed, because I was on the committee, and there were nights where I was held up at the nursing home, and I was late for them, but Todd always kept me abreast of the meetings and what was going on, and I just want to personally acknowledge him and thank him for his participation.
So I would ask the board to consider a motion to keep the public hearing open to the next Board of Trustees meeting on February 10.
I just want to, Craig, I just want to thank, I don't know if any of the stakeholders are listening tonight. And like I said, especially Todd, he helped me a lot with this, putting these meetings together and getting all the information out to everybody. But I'd just like to make sure that all the stakeholders know that how well we appreciate that, all the help they did with assisting us with this police reform.
Thank you, Walter. I think you've done a fine job. I really do.
Thank you.
Does anybody else in the board want to make any comment? Are there any members of the public here that would like to make any comment about the proposed plan? I'd ask that you raise your hand in the Zoom chat. Is there anybody raising their hand in the Zoom chat? Let's wait like another minute to see if anybody else has any public comment. Okay, we just need a motion from the board, one of the board, and second to adopt that motion to adjourn the public hearing for further comment from the public.
I just want to say I didn't catch his last name, but a memo came up. I believe his name was Edward. He just wanted to say thank you. So I don't know if anyone caught that.
Oh, I see it. Yep.
Yep. Thanks, Mayor.
Todd, if you could just put the draft plan on the village website again, and advise the public that any public comment will be continued into the next Board of Trustees meeting. That would be helpful.
Sure, no problem. Are you talking about the 27th or in February?
We're going
Because you have the workshop.
whatever the pleasure of the board is, we can continue the public comment to the 27th, or
And just to advise the board, you have a public hearing on the 27th for contract 5 KC, so I'm not sure if you guys want to double up or just wait until February.
think we should do it at every meeting we have until it's completed.
Okay. Why don't, is there a motion to adjourn the public hearing to February 27th for further comment from the public?
Make that motion to January 27th.
I'll second it.
Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Carried. Okay, next on the agenda,
Hold on.
action.
Did the vote carry? I didn't know. You want to do a roll call vote?
Okay. Roll call vote. Trustee Markajon. Looks like Bob Relier's on the screen now.
Yes. But
I
you
seen
won't let me
something
video.
come across before that Kevin and John left the meeting.
They left the meeting for good.
We're,
It
We're
came across.
having- we're having some problems with Kevin and Billy. I'm going down right now to see what's going on.
Yeah, we're gonna need their vote later on. Okay, is Bob Brelier still there, or what's going on with that?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I
Can you
can,
hear me?
yes.
My video is blocked by the administrator.
You may start your camera at any
Can I
time.
start your video because the host has disabled it?
All right, we're in the middle of a motion. Let me complete that first. Trustee Catalano. Trustee
Got it now.
Aye.
There I am. Hello.
Trustee Nesnick.
Aye.
Trustee Huber. Difficulties. Trustee Panessa.
Aye.
Trustee Lammers.
Aye.
We'll have to come back to the other two when they get online to complete that motion. Now, Bob Relier is on, I think, the comment about police reform.
He's part of the group.
That's why I joined it, but I got in here late, so I don't know where you've been on that.
You missed it.
Well, the public comment is still open. So if the board would like to give him, Mr. Relier, the platform to make any comment, I think now would be the time.
I don't really have any comment. I would need the background of what was already said. I've been to almost all the meetings. I missed the last meeting of the reform board, and so I don't know where it stands.
Bob, it'll be on tonight after the meeting if you want to view it. And then the hearing is open to the 27th of January when we have our next meeting. That'll give you time to listen to what was presented.
All right, that sounds like a good idea. I had trouble getting this Zoom working.
I'll email you, Bob, later.
The replay will be available on YouTube shortly after the meeting ends.
Okay.
Okay. All right, Todd, were you able to get Kevin on?
They're coming up right now. Hold on.
All right. You're both good? Okay. I have eyes from Kevin and Billy to leave the public hearing open and put it on the agenda for January 27th. And in the meantime, we'll collect any public comment and we'll get the updates at that point. So that motion carried. Next on the agenda is I guess we'll wait a couple minutes. They're re-hooking up their computer here. It'd be great
John,
when
would
we
you, sorry, would you want me to go while they're trying to fix the technicalities? Because I don't have anything to vote on.
I don't really want to shift. You're on
That's fine.
shortly anyway, so.
All right. Yeah, I'll wait.
Can someone tell Rich to let me in? Kevin? Can you let Kevin in, Rich?
Just takes a sec to react.
Yeah, Corey, I'd like the entire board to hear what you have to say.
Sure.
Sorry about that.
Okay, we're back. I would like to have, we'll take action on the minutes for December 9th, 2020, December 16th, 2020, December 28th, 2020. We have a motion to accept those minutes.
I'll make it.
Second.
Second.
Seconded by trustee Mesnick. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Authorization to pay bills as approved warrants.
I'll make it.
I'll second.
Motion by trustee Panessa, seconded by trustee Lammers. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right, we have a grant update by grant writer Corey Yusevich.
Hello. So I'll be a little brief today, but before I go in to the list of grants, I just want to say that I have, well, I should say this, the EPA, Environmental Protection Agency, they had designated the Lower Wappinger Creek as a Superfund site a couple of years ago, and they really haven't done much with it. Lower Wappinger Creek, for those who don't know, is basically everything after the falls to the Hudson. They actually came and met with Matt Alexander when he was still the mayor. They met with him a few months ago, and they met at the site, and their plan is to finally put into place a plan to start cleaning it up. They hope to have that plan by, I believe it was 2023. But anyway, they've contacted me this week, and one of the things they want is they have this program called CIP, which is Community Involvement Program. And basically, they like to get to know the area they're working on, the people. They like to know more about the people and such. And basically what they told us was with this CIP, it's kind of how they decide the order of urgency. Basically, the more kind of like the squeaky wheel gets the grease type of deal, like the more they hear for certain areas, the more they'll attract to that area. So they've asked if we can maybe get some people, if I can get some people, and along with the woman I'm working with, the EPA, Danielle, if we could get a few people from the area to answer some questions just about the area, how long they've lived here, what are their thoughts about it and such. Nothing crazy. It's not like a census or anything like that. But if that is something you're interested in, I'm doing it myself. I'm going to invite some trustees to do it. I'll speak to them at later times, but really just the more the merrier. And again, a big thing about this is the more traction we get, the louder our voice is. That sort of gives us it shows the EPA the urgency, and I just think the more people we get, the more quickly we can get underway, possibly cleaning up our portion of the creek. So I just wanted to put that out there. If anyone is interested, you can contact me via our phone number, 297-8773 extension 7, or my email, which is cusevich@wappingersfallsny.gov. Both of those can be found on our website. So yeah, if that really interests anyone, or if anyone wants to help out in any way, just let me know, and I think it'd be greatly appreciated. But with that said, now I'm just going to give a little list on the current grants. We have the LWRP grant, which is a Department of State grant to clean up, or to start the cleanup for Wappinger Creek. We have a meeting set tomorrow to sort of get back on track. We took a bit of hiatus over the holidays, as most groups did, but we plan on meeting again tomorrow. We've been doing these pilot projects that I've talked about a few times between biochar and the StreamGo tanks. So this is our final meeting as our 9-element group for this project, and we're setting in stone sort of the last year of this project. So it'll be really good to just lay it all out and plan it right then and there. So that's tomorrow at 2 p.m. Our Brownfield Opportunity Area nomination, this has been ongoing. Our nomination is complete, and it's been accepted by the BOA. We're just dealing with some of the administrative stuff behind the scenes. I talk to them almost every day. So hopefully our BOA can be released possibly later this year, which is a very thick document, but if you need to know anything about the village and our future plans or what our needs are, that's going to be a really good source to look at. Our brownfield cleanup, I'm speaking with KC, we're going to start testing actual sites for phase 2. Now with the EPA's approval, we're going to be able to start doing that later this year when the ground softens up a bit. The boathouse is almost near completion, and I know people have been hearing that for years now, since before I even started, but it is actually near completion soon. Barring a railing and a few electrical stuff indoors, that's going to be open this year. And hopefully with the times, we'll be able to actually use it and maybe hold an event there. And the other project that I wanted to bring up today was the EV charging stations. I got insurance and everything I needed from the EV people, the people who were purchasing the electric vehicle charging station from. And we got that underway, so we're officially going to be able to submit that this week. And then hopefully we can have some charging stations installed in different parts around the village in the oncoming months. So again, I just wanted to be brief today. The main thing I wanted to bring up was the EPA thing, but everything's settling down now that we're in the new year and things are really starting to pick up. But just as for right now, that's sort of the immediate things on the list. So that's really all I wanted to say. I'm willing to answer any questions if anyone has any.
Corey, I just want to go over again that you'll have that information we looked for on the finance end by our next meeting.
Yes, I started that when I left there today, and yeah, by next week I'll have that stuff for you.
Thank you.
Corey, will you highlight just some of the items that you talked about tonight and format that I can include in the minutes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Do that. I'll have that to you tomorrow.
Corey, the LWRP grant for the Wappingers Creek, you have that meeting tomorrow. Where's that meeting located at? The Village Hall or?
Well, it'll be via Zoom.
Zoom? Okay.
You're more than welcome. If you want to come to Village Hall, do it with me, or I can get you the Zoom info for it. But you're more than welcome.
I'm going to try to be here tomorrow by 2.
All righty.
If I can.
Even if you come a little late, that's fine too.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Corey? We'll move on. Next on the agenda, in keeping with the schedule of the upcoming election in March, is a resolution appointing inspectors of election. Whereas by prior resolution, the Village of Wappingers Falls has been divided into 3 wards. And whereas it is the desire of this board to appoint inspectors and the chairperson of the election in accordance with provision of section 15-116 of the election law. Now therefore be it resolved that the following named duly qualified persons be and they are hereby appointed as inspectors of election for the village election districts as follows. Election District 1, Ward 1, Anne Marie Panaleo, Republican. Louise Lowney, Democrat. Election District 2, Ward 2, Susan Johnson, Republican. Kathy Massey, Democrat. Election District 3, Ward 3, Brenda Alfonso, Republican. Vinnie Fitzsimmons, Democrat. Backup inspectors as followed: Pat Procone, Republican. Keely Loricella, Democrat. Inspectors to designate their own chairperson, and we'll do that there that day. Resolved that the above named inspectors of election shall, prior to the assumption of the duties, file a constitutional oath of office with the village clerk, shall preside at all village elections for the ward for which they have been appointed, and shall perform all duties of inspectors of election provided by law until their successors shall be appointed. And be it further resolved that the compensation for inspectors of election herein appointed is hereby fixed at $12 per hour and $25 for meals per inspector for all services to be performed with the general election to be held March 16, 2021. This resolution shall take effect immediately. The foregoing resolution, once we have your approval, will be adopted January 13, 2021. So I need a motion.
I'll make it.
That was Brian.
Correct.
I'll second.
Second by Mary Panessa. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Carried.
Aye.
Okay, next. There's a bond resolution dated January 13, 2021. Approval resolution amending the bond resolution dated November 13, 2019, authorizing the issuance of $300,000 of bonds of the Village of Wappingers Falls, Dutchess County, New York, to pay the cost of improvements to the village's community boathouse in and for said village, to increase the estimated maximum cost thereof and the amount of bonds authorized to $500,000, an increase of $200,000. I'll need a motion on that, and I will also need what they call a supermajority, for which you may not know. Normal majority is 4. Supermajority for this board of 7 is 5. Can I have a motion to accept that resolution?
I'll make that motion.
Who was that?
Jen?
Jen Nesnick made the motion. Can I have a second?
Yes.
I'll second.
Mary Panessa, roll call vote. Trustee Markajon,
Yes.
Trustee Catalano,
Aye.
Trustee Nesnick,
Aye.
Trustee Huber,
Aye.
Trustee Panessa,
Aye.
Trustee Lammers,
Aye.
carried. Next, bond resolution dated January 13, 2021. Approval, resolution amending the bond resolution dated December 11, 2019, authorizing the issuance of $600,000 of bonds of the Village of Wappingers Falls, Dutchess County, New York, to pay the cost of improvements to the village Franny Reese Park in and for said village, to increase the estimated maximum cost thereof and the amount of bonds authorized to $1,200,000, an increase of $600,000. Same as before. I need a motion.
I'll make it.
That was Kevin.
I'll
Second,
I'll second.
Ryan.
Yes.
Roll call vote. Trustee Markajon,
Yes.
trustee Catalano,
Aye.
trustee Nesnet,
Aye.
trustee Huber,
Aye.
trustee Panessa,
Aye.
Yes.
trustee Lammers,
Aye.
carried. Okay, you got a memo I sent out shortly before this meeting.
Hold on, John. Just one comment about the bond amendment vote. You'll get everything to our bond counsel. He has to.
I will follow our procedures consistently, yes.
Okay, thank you.
I sent a memo out just before the meeting that I received from Casey Engineering about sewer hookup on West Main Street, 207 West Main. There's a project going on there called West Main Lofts. And if you don't have the memo, that's fine, I can read it. The planning board authorized the project to go forward contingent on several items. One of the items is that the village board approves sewer for the project. Casey Engineering has performed their detailed analysis of it, and here's what they're saying. The village can accommodate the proposed 1,950 gallons per day of water consumption and sewer flow as described in the submittal EAP, which is Environmental Assessment Form, or EAF. So I have written documentation to support your approval of granting sewer for that project tonight.
And the village engineer recommends it.
Correct.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Second was trustee Panessa,
Kristen.
Kristen Catalano. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Approval to obtain a 30-day waiver for O+G Restaurant, 32 Market Street, to apply for a liquor license. They would like to have a 30-day waiver. In these cases, I go to Brian Murphy and I ask him if he has any opposition to granting any such waiver. He does not in this case. He agrees that if the board approves, we can grant the 30-day waiver.
I'll make the
Where
motion.
was the location again?
32 Market Street.
I'll make the motion, John.
Kevin? Second,
Second.
trustee Markajon. Opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Carried. We had communication from two firehouses. William T. Garner voted Nicholas Marshall as a new member, a new junior member.
Okay.
And S.W. Johnson said that Dominique Galarza has resigned. Can I have a motion to accept those two communications?
I'll make that.
Trustee Panessa,
I'll
And-
second.
second trustee Catalano.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I am receipt of a resignation from Police Officer Levine, effective January 30th, 2021. I have a motion to accept his resignation.
I'll make it.
Trustee Panessa? And I have a second.
I'll second.
Trustee Huber? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, I'm in receipt of a letter that was handed to me. and it's from Commissioner or Superintendent Peter Paggi addressing the board and treasurer, that I can read it to you if you don't have it. It's to Mayor, it's to Trustee Huber and the village board. As I am sure you are aware, longtime Highway Department worker and foreman Anthony Marcelli has retired after 22 years of service with the village. His last day of work was November 30th, 2020. Mr. Marcelli deserves our gratitude for his many years of hard work, sacrifice, and dedicated service. I would like to promote Tom Polakowski to fill the position of Highway Department foreman. Mr. Polakowski has been with the village highway department since July 2018. His exemplary work during that time, along with his previous 20-plus years of work in the construction industry and his laborers union training, make him fully qualified to perform the tasks required of the highway foreman. I am confident that Mr. Polakowski will do an excellent job in the new position. So I was glad it was handed to me, because like any position that you want to promote or that you want to hire into, I, as your interface with civil service, need to ensure that that position does exist and that the candidate is qualified for it. So after receiving that letter to you, I called civil service because I wanted to verify that the working foreman position was in fact available, and it is not. It's been changed to called working supervisor. So, and I asked, well, what's the reason for that? And the reason is they don't use the word man anymore. So it's not foreman, it's working supervisor, just for your awareness. But I did a comparison of the working foreman class and distinguished features of the class and compared them to the new working supervisor class, and they are similar, and I will read to you what the working supervisor position entails. Distinguishing features of the class. This is a broad class encompassing employees who, by virtue of their experience and expertise, are selected to lead a small to medium-sized group of laborers in one or more unskilled or semi-skilled construction, maintenance, and or repair activities. Typical activities include the resurfacing of streets, repair of water and sewer lines, maintenance of parks, buildings and grounds, collection and incineration of refuse, etc. The work is usually performed under general supervision of a higher-ranking supervisor or superintendent who outlines assignments in detail and makes periodic inspections of work in progress. A working supervisor may be required to work shifts and may be subject to emergency call 24 hours a day. Typical work activities. The following is indicative of the level of types of activities performed by incumbents of this title. It is not meant to be all-inclusive and does not preclude a supervisor from assigning activities not listed, which could reasonably be expected to be performed by an employee in this title. Supervises and participates in a wide variety of labor activities such as snow plowing, landscaping, painting, grading roads, shoulders, digging ditches, erecting fences, cleaning pipes and catch basins, patching roads, picking up debris and litter, repairing equipment, tree maintenance, etc. Assigns individual tasks to and checks the work of subordinate personnel. Leads in more difficult tasks. May operate construction equipment. Maintains employee time cards, worksheets, and equipment usage reports. Minimum qualifications. 2 years of experience performing or supervising construction, maintenance, and or repair activities. Special requirement. Possession of a New York State valid driver's license at the time of the appointment. Some appointing authorities may require a valid CDL, commercial driver's license, relating to the equipment being operated. So again, that is very similar to the working foreman position and the working supervisor current position. So if the board will make a motion to accept that promotion of Mr. Polakowski, I will duly note that in the minutes.
I make a motion to table it to determine if our action will violate the CBA contract, as our labor council needs to determine this.
I went down and talked to Pete about it, and Pete has reached out to Kenny, and there's no bargaining unit for this. It's basically Pete's decision. It's up to Pete to pick.
Is the person who's being promoted part of the bargaining unit?
Well, he's definitely in the union, but it's not a what's the word I'm looking for? But it's basically up to the highway superintendent who he can pick. So it doesn't have to be by seniority. Pete has talked to all the personnel down there, and they're fine with it.
I think
He reached out to Kenny, the president of the union, and Kenny has no problem with it either.
I mean, this is the type of matter, though, that involves personnel and should be discussed in executive session. But I was completely taken off by surprise as to its inclusion in the agenda, since it's not even part of the original agenda. So, this is why we have executive session. So it's up to you as to whether or not you want to entertain this. But since it is a personnel decision, I think that I would recommend that the board at least find out if it can be done for the next meeting, which would be on the 20 in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. We can wait. And the personnel committee meet.
Unless you want to have a special meeting.
No, we can wait 2 weeks. We waited this long.
Yeah, it's up to you, but
Well, yeah, I mean, I think if there are any questions about it, I mean, I know, Kevin, I know you said it, they're good with it, but I would like to be sure, at least have something in writing that we could see that says that there's no conflicts there, just so everything is above board. If we could hold off on making that decision, I would be good.
All right. You like to hold off? We can hold off.
Can I just ask, what's the difference between Tony Marcelli, who had the position, and this person who's in the union that's looking for the position? What is it that we need to check out? Only because I don't know. I'm not. Just want to be caught up on that. He's a union member.
He's a union member. If
he's leapfrogging anybody.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, in other words, the real question is we're looking to see if there's any seniority in this. Is that what we're looking to see?
I think it would be advisable to check with Labor Council to make sure that everything's on the up and up, and that there's no grievable action.
Okay. And seniority sounds to me that would be the only grievable action at this point.
I'm not even sure. I couldn't comment on something I can't really see.
So do we agree that you want to table it to January 27th? And do you want me to work with the Labor Council on it?
Please.
Okay, I can do that. Is that what the board wants to do?
Yes.
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 Can I have a motion to table it and the village clerk to work with Labor Council on the position?
I will make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Carried. Monthly department stats. I have for the police department, total calls of service, 321. This is for December of 2020. 1 year ago, there were 367. Traffic tickets, there were 4. 1 year ago, 22. Sick call-outs, 3, 7 last year, or the year before. Call-outs other, 21, 19, or 2019, you had 15. Call-out shifts not covered, 10. Last time, 12. Domestics, 8. Last were 12. Lockouts, 4. Last time was 13. Larcenies were 7. Last time, 3. Drug complaints, none. Last time, 1. Criminal mischief, 3. Year ago, 1. Accidents, 30. Last, 27. Burglar alarms, 13. Last time, 10. Medicals, 61. Year ago, 45. So that's a high for over a year. Civilian complaints, none. That's consistent. Parking tickets were 73. That's new. There wasn't a record last 12 months ago. Use of force, 1. That summarizes the police report. Next is the highway report. Trustee Huber.
The highway has been busy between the snow. They had a water main break out North Podgy Terrace, or North Gilmore, I'm sorry. Between in the swamp there, they had a fix. That was they've been looking for that for a few weeks between. That can go on the water report too, but for a few weeks they've been noticing the tanks dropping of water, and they finally found it through a leak detection. And they had a sewer main break down on Gibbons Avenue earlier this week. And basically that's it for the highway. They got the 4-wheeler up at Polaris for the plow and sander. And that's it.
How's that working out? The 4-wheeler.
It hasn't been in the shop yet. They reached out today to see how it's making out, and they haven't pulled it in the shop. They're waiting on a couple parts. We had to get a new ignition because the key is missing. So we're getting a new ignition with 2 keys.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, fire. Trustee Huber.
Fire, there was 29 calls for the month of December, and we ordered new radios and portables for the chief's cars and the 2 engines, a ladder truck, and the 2 rescue trucks. They were put in this past weekend, and they're just finishing up on a few things. I guess they have a few more things to finish up on, and the radios will be done.
Okay, on safety, we have adequate PPE equipment available. Heather McCormick and Jessica McMahon, the treasurer, are putting together a procedure on how we should handle if we do get a COVID-19 case here. How would we handle it? What course of action would we take? So we have an actual written procedure on what to do as far as quarantine and all of that's concerned. So I think that'll be a big plus for us to have in our hand. Recreation, Trustee Huber.
Recreation, there's no meeting for the month of January. They're going to be meeting at the Mizzier Park the 24th to take the lights down in the tree or out of the trees and bring the stuff back. So whatever's left by the 24th, that's what's going to be done. I'm going to see if I can get some things done by this week or this weekend down there. So by myself.
Okay, water?
Water is, we had a major water leak like I talked about before on the highway over on North Gilmore over there. That's been fixed. And, we have another situation on Prospect in North, or I think it's North Mizzier. There's a water line leak down there in the yard, so we'll be working on that.
Okay, and we heard from grants. I know, Kevin, you talked a little bit about the sewer break. I think that summarized that up. And
Yeah.
that's it. That's it for the committee reports. We have a section now called public input. If there's anyone out there that wants to input, this would be their opportunity. Okay, I think that if they do want to comment and they don't want to do it now, they can always do it on our website. So that concludes tonight's village board meeting. So next on the agenda would be to adjourn.
I'll make it.
I'll second it.
Kevin Huber and as trustee Panessa. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night.